Don't skip this video because if this story was real, it will be one of the most terrifying experiment ever. Imagine someone offers you $1 million. All you have to do is stay inside one small room for 30 days. No phone, no internet, no family, no sunlight, no way out. You're the online one rule. You cannot sleep. Not for 1 hour, not for 1 minute, not even for 1 second. Sounds impossible, right? But according to one of the most famous horror stories Evan shared online, this experiment actually happened. Five voluntarily agreed to take this challenge. They believe it will be easy. 30 days, $1 million, then they could go home. They had no idea what was waiting inside that room. The door closed, the clock started. Day 1 was completely normal. Day 2, nothing strange happened. Day 3, everyone was still smiling. Then day 5 arrived, and from the most moment, everything changed. Day 5 started. Like every other day, everything looked normal. The five people were still awake. They looked tired, but nothing seemed strange at least. That's what the science thought. Then something changed. The people stopped talking to each other. They didn't fight. They didn't laugh. They didn't even look at each other. Instead, they started whispering very quickly. The scientists instead, but they couldn't understand a single word. Every horse, their whispered become quickly. Then, one by one, they walked to different corner of the room, and they just stood there, looking at the wall. They stood there for hours. Nobody moved, nobody slept, nobody asked to leave. The scientists had never seen anything like this before. Then one day night, everything went quiet. No voices, no footsteps, nothing. The room was a complete silence. The scientists looked at each other. They had only one question: where they still live. And that's when they made a dangerous deception. They opened the door. Day 9. The room was completely silent. No voices, no footsteps, nothing. The scientists waited for another hour, still nothing. They looked at each other. One of them said, I think they're dead. Another scientist wasn't so sure. There was only one way to find out. They decided to open the door. Before they opened it, they spoke through the speaker. We are open the door. Stay away from the entrance. If you follow our instruction, you will not be harmed. For a few seconds, nobody answered. Then a voice came from inside. It sounded weak, slow, and cold. The voice said, don't open the door. The scientists froze. They couldn't believe what they had just heard. But it was too late. The locks were already opening. The heavy door slowly moved. Nobody was ready for what they was about to see. What instead the room changed everything. Day 9. The room was completely silent. No voices, no footsteps, nothing. The scientists waited for another hour, still nothing. They looked at each other. One of them said, I think they're dead. Another scientist wasn't so sure. There was only one way to find out. They decided to open the door. Before they opened it, they spoke through the speaker. We are open the door. Stay away from the entrance. If you follow our instruction, you will not be harmed. For a few seconds, nobody answered. Then a voice came from inside. It sounded weak, slow, and cold. A voice said, "Don't open the door." The scientists froze. They couldn't believe what they had just heard. But it was too late. The locks were already opening. The heavy door slowly moved. Nobody was ready for what they was about to see. What Vince said, the room changed everything. The door slowly opened. Nobody moved. Nobody said a word. Every science looked. Inside, they thought everyone was dead. But they were wrong. The room was destroyed. Chairs were broken. Books were all over the floor. The walls were full of deep marks. It looked like something bad had happened. Then one science said someone moved. One of the voluntary was still alive. Then another one moved and another. All five were alive. Nobody could believe it. They look at wake, but they will still standing. Then look at the science. He smiled just a little and quickly sighed. Please don't make us sleep. Nobody knew what to say. The science want to stop. The experiment, they thought everything would be okay. They had no idea the last part was still coming. The science wanted to stop the test. They thought it was over, but they were wrong. The people inside the room didn't want to leave. They said, "Please, don't make us sleep." Nobody understood why. One science looked at the last man. Then he asked, "Who are you?" The man smiled. Then he said, "We are the dark part inside every person." Nobody said anything. A few minutes later, the test was over. Years later, the story appeared on the internet. Millions of people read it. Millions of people share it. Today, it is called the Russian sleep experiment. But there is one thing you should know. There is a horror story. It is not a real event, but one question is still very scary. What if it was a really? Tell me, what do you think really happened? Don't forget to subscribe for the next story.